Hey guys, so I'm so excited to be starting the next step of our little mini bathroom makeover here. So the walls are done, you can see those are painted, the shiplap is done, there's that. I got the doors repainted yesterday, the trim, and did all my touch up today. So now it's time to move on to the floors, now that I was a little worried about dripping paint on the floors. So I'm doing the floors last, so I did drip some paint, so I'm glad I waited. But for the floors, we have tile in here, and again, this is not like a total like bathroom remodel that we're doing. We're pretty much just doing paint and like decor in here, and then the shiplap. So it's very budget friendly, easy makeover that we're doing here. So what we decided to do for the floors is paint them. And you may have heard of floor paint in the past, or you may have seen people even using like different types of paint that aren't made for floors. And every time I see that, I'm kind of like, it's not gonna last. But I know that this is gonna last, and I'm really excited about it. We are working with Rust-Oleum, and you may have heard of the rock solid floor paint. That's what this used to be called. It's the same stuff, they've just rebranded it under the Rust-Oleum home line. Floor coating. So this stuff is really cool. It's made for floors, so it's super durable. It's a two-step system, so we've got a base coat, and then I'm going to do a color, a stencil, and then a top coat goes on top to just protect it all. But you can use it on tile, vinyl, wood, and more. So our floor, like I said, is tile, so that's what we're using it on, and I'm really excited to get started on it. The first step is removing any caulking that you have on the floor, so that's what I'm doing now, and it's kind of tedious. Here, I'll show you guys. So this is all, I've been working on it for probably like 15 minutes, and this is all I've gotten done. It's very tedious, it's not very fun. If you're wondering how this works though, we do have a whole blog post on how to like re-caulk an area, and this is just one of the steps, is removing the old caulking. So basically what you want to do is you want to get like a utility knife with a really sharp blade, and you want to cut, I'm going to try to do this with one hand, but it's going to be really hard. You want to cut just like right there, and you want to cut the other side that's attached over here. So you get it cut on each side. It should start to, and this is really hard to do with one hand, but you should be able to, I'm not going to be able to do this with my right hand, I'm left-handed. So you should be able to just peel it up. But again, it's a two-handed job. But you can see I've already done this, and again, it's pretty tedious. So I'll just keep working. All right, so I am all done removing the caulking there. It was tedious, but it's done. So now I'm moving on to the next step, which is cleaning. And this is what Rust-Oleum sent me to use. This is one of their sister brands, and if you've never used Crud Cutter before, prepare to be amazed, because this removes like virtually everything. It's super great. It's a great way to clean before you're painting. So we're gonna do this on the floors, get the grout and the tile really clean, and then we're gonna move on to painting. So I'm just rereading the instructions here. I had read them last night and I forgot about this little tip that they mentioned, is that you wanna test your floors before painting everything. So I'm gonna follow the instructions, even though I really wanna just jump in and get started on this. We probably should just test it, because if, I'll read to you what they say about the test. If it doesn't pass the test, then I would need to just lightly sand the floor to make sure it adheres. So what they say to do is you take a 3" by 3" area and you paint this on, let it dry for 12 hours, and then you put an X in the coating, and you apply some duct tape down and pull it off, and then if it pulls off more than 10% of that coating, then you need to sand the floors first. So I'm gonna try that, so that means I'm not gonna get to paint until tomorrow, but it is what it is. Alright, so there's my swatch of paint. I did an X with a utility knife, like it says, and it's been drying for a long time. I think I've left it like a day. So, I've got my duct tape. I'm just going to press the duct tape on here. And when it says to pull it up quickly, my goodness. So nothing came up. So I don't think we need to sand our floors. Good news. Is the colored second coat I had done, not second coat, I mean first coat of the color, and this is the smoke color. If you're wondering, it's a very neutral gray. I love the color. So I'm going to move on to stenciling today. I let this dry overnight, so it's been more than 6 hours. So for our stenciling, we're gonna go back to the white for the stencil. That's gonna be white and gray. And I got these stencils. I love them. It's like a large kind of geometric shape. And I had gotten my first two and I already made a mistake. I'm gonna have to cover one of them up because I didn't really plan this right. These tiles are not like lined up perfectly. So the pattern, I put it at the top of this tile and the bottom of that tile. And if you see here in my next row, this is not gonna line up with that. So I'm gonna paint over that one, let it dry, and then hopefully find another spot where I can continue working while it dries. Here is my progress so far. Got 3 areas done. I went over this one where I had messed up. I've done 2 coats because after the first coat I could still see some faint lines, so I had to do a second one there. So that's still drying, which really prevents me from doing any of these, and everything else has to pretty much be cut. It ends over here, so I can't fit a full stencil over there. One method, I've changed a few things. So I did go ahead and kind of lay out the stencils and give myself some registration marks so that I don't mess up again. So that worked well. And then I did switch to a dense foam roller instead of a paintbrush. It is like 500,000 times faster. So, and I think it's even less bleeding and it's the same kind of texture. Oh my gosh, it's been a day. I'm done with the stenciling. It's 7:30. I started at like 10 a.m. and I really haven't done anything else all day long. I'm not gonna lie and say this was easy because, well, it was, skill-wise, it was easy. But it was pretty tedious. The beginning went pretty good when it's like full sheets of stencils. That part's pretty easy. But my bathroom is so small and there's so many things to cut around that it came down at the bottom where I didn't have any stencils left. So I kind of had to like fake it on some. There's a lot of touch up on those ones because the stencils were like barely being held together. I'm really exhausted. My back hurts and my legs hurt because I was like squatting all day. So I'll show you what it looks like. Keep in mind there's a lot of touch-up that needs to come, and then of course it needs to be sealed. So here is the huge mess I made. You can see I had to do a lot of cutting of the stencils, but it turned out amazing. I love the design. I think it's a super fun pattern. there's one, so I think I mentioned this earlier. Our tiles in here are 12 by 24. And the stencil that I had ordered was a 12-inch stencil, and I was going to try to just kind of fake it because I could fit 2 stencils on one tile. However, the bad part about that is our tile isn't necessarily like lined up so that the tiles are like half of each other. So with the pattern, there is a grout line right there, kind of in the middle of the room. That's just how it worked out. If I didn't do it right there, it was going to be right there. So on those 2 big, large tiles, there was going to have to be a grout line in the middle of the pattern. When you step back though, you can't even see it. So it's only if you're really close and like the light hits it that you notice that there's a little divot there. Otherwise, I think it looks great. Like I said, a lot of cutting because this is such a tiny, tiny room. It's like the size of a powder room, even though it's a full bath. But I had to like obviously cut all these pieces out. I had to get around the toilet. This is the part I finished with, where I was like running out of stencils. I kind of had to like fake it so you can see when you get really close. Obviously I need to do a lot of touch up here. I got a little crooked right here, and then back there I was like literally having to do some of that with a paintbrush, so it honestly doesn't look great. But that's just if you like zoom in and really look at it closely. Otherwise, I think it looks amazing. What do you guys think? So again, this is the smoke color, and then it's just the white, no tinted, ultra white base. So, touch up tomorrow. I'm just gonna use a tiny paintbrush. And then I'll do step 2, which is the coat, the matte finish, to protect it all. And on the pieces where the stencils were like whole and I wasn't scrapping it together, and I was using the foam roller, like you can see there's really not a lot of imperfection. And again, the stencil that I chose intentionally had imperfection. Like all of these lines are squiggly on the stencil. And so I chose that so that it would look imperfect and I wouldn't have to do a lot of touch up. So there she is, looking good. What do you guys think? I just finished the top coat, and you can see it's kind of shiny there because it's still drying. It will be a matte finish once it dries. This is kind of what it looks like. It's like a milky, very liquid. I was actually surprised with how thin it was. I thought it was gonna be, I don't know, thicker, and it's very watery. It's easy to roll on. I just used an angle brush to do kind of the edges and around things, and then when I put it on with a 1/4-inch nap roller, I just used a 4-inch. I did have to go to the store and get a 1/4-inch because I normally don't keep those on hand because we don't use them to paint with. The one thing I would have done differently if I was starting over with this second coat, I would have like wiped the floor with like a rag or baby wipes or something beforehand, because even though it's been very clean and it's only been me walking in here with just like socks, there was like some dirt, little pieces of hairs and stuff that were like stuck in the finish once I started brushing it out, which was, you can kind of see it in some spots. It's not gonna be perfect, but I did like in a few areas like grab a baby wipe the finish off if I noticed there was like dirt in it, or would like use my finger to like dap the little hairs out. But it was pretty hard to do once I started. So that's one thing I probably would do differently, but you can see it's starting to dry there. And only one coat is needed. So once this dries, I think it needs 12 hours before you can do light traffic. So we'll probably just wait till tomorrow. Just keep this door closed, and then I'll get some pictures.